Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of Showcase on Dark Souls 3. Now, moving on to another staff. Now, in the past I rated everything with specials when it came to the score. Well, this time I'm removing that, because all the weapons are the same thing, and I think they are legitimately the same thing. With no exception to the Court Sorcerer's Staff. Now, moving on, the description of this staff reads: Catalyst used by the court sorcerers of the Porfaned Capital. Very powerful when wielded by an exceptionally intelligent sorcerer. The court sorcerers laid claim to the legacy of the renowned Big Hat Logan, going as far as to emulate him with copies of the staff he used. So, in a sense, this is Logan's staff? Bit of a nod. It says I was reading the comments on wiki and people say in the French version it's actually referred as Logan's Catalyst. So if it is or not, who knows. Anyway, this skill is, as all staffs have, the Steady Chant. Boosts the strength of sorceries for a very short period, works equipped in either hand. Now, even though they all have this same thing, some of them are a little different. There's a reason why I scored bonus in the past. But after this video, you'll see there's not much point to it anymore. So I done goofed, but no matter. I'll keep going forward. Now, visually, I decided to go and look at Logan's actual staff. And we can see, yes, they pretty much look the same. Bob Andrew Big Hat Logan's from the first Dark Souls. Very powerful sorcerer, sold you the best magic in the game. And when he went crazy, he was always a bit of a nuisance put down in the first playthrough. But anyway, pretty much the same looking staff. Now, visually, the Court Sorcerer's staff, well, physically we'll ignore the physical damage, even though it's there, but the spell buff is 135. Now, you might think, well, that's not exactly that powerful. But, when I tell you the original buff is only 60, that puts a bit of perspective on things. Yeah. It's true it's right now not any more powerful than the plain old Bolt Sorcerer's Staff, but when that Sorcerer's Staff original one started with 100, this started with 60 and yet almost the same buff. So yeah, that buff scales really nicely. Anyway, on the attribute bonus you get E for Strength, which again I don't know why it's there, and you get A for Intelligence, which is pretty good, but I'm not sure what really attributes to. The attribute requirement needs 6 Strength and 14 Intelligence. Not really asking you that much, either. Considering this is one of the stronger staffs in the game, surprisingly. But in order to be exceptionally powerful, you'll need high Intelligence, which I grouped mine with Faith. I thought that would be enough in the beginning, but I see now this staff is not quite enough. You'll need probably around 50, 60 to really bring its true potential. Also, the Steady Chant, as you can probably noticed, cost 15 FP, opposed to the plain Sorcerer's Staff, which only 7. There is really no difference between these two. I thought there was, but apparently there is not now that I tested it. Oh well. For the animation, the basic attack is whatever spell you've equipped, which could be anywhere from your Flash Sword or your various Soul Spears, and then the power attack, well, it was a clubbing overhead. Logan wasn't known for clubbing overhead. The special is a Steady Chant, which is visually the same as every other Steady Chant, and apparently the same buff in the end as well. But well, that's simply how it is. Now for upgrading the Court Sorcerer's Staff, you'll need Titanite Shards. And on the very first upgrade, for what it's worth, the attribute bonus for Strength goes to a D. And for the upgrade of the spell buff, you only get 3 points, 3 to 2 points for every upgrade. It's okay. Yet here we are at the large Titanite Shards, and we already got the attribute bonus to Intelligence go to S, again for that whatever that's worth. So yes. So you got a high attribute bonus for Intelligence, and this thing scales very nicely when you're leveling. Now, if you're for upgrade, but at least show a comparison that even at my Intelligence, the difference between a Sorcerer's Staff and the Court Sorcerer's Staff is very negligible. You almost get the same buff, if a little bit weaker. Base damage is the same. It's only if it had more intelligence it'd be much more powerful. But regardless, I will use it as it is. Just so if there's any significant difference. The main reason why I don't use Ball Pale Tongue is cause, well, that'll screw up any quest I'm currently doing. And had I known this staff was this much powerful, I would have changed it beforehand, but no matter. The information's at least there. Now, in terms of dealing plenty of damage, it's definitely there, same as every other staff, but in terms of everything else, it's identical? It's pretty much you have to be really hardcore into staff using to really get the real full potential of this weapon. But even as it is, at my point, it's pretty much no much different from any other staff. Which is a bit of a downer, like, that's a bit of a... I'm going to put that pretty much in a bit of a con. Because you have to be that far into intelligence to really have this thing to be outshine the other staffs. But oh well. As you can see here, these guys are very resistant against magic, and I'm kind of sick of it, so I'll club over the head. As we see, the steady chant also buffs the physical damage of the staff as well. But very slightly. Alright, so I didn't really narrate very well that area, but it's besides the point. Magic is pretty much as it is magic. It's good against some opponent, horrible against others. And the Gargoyle is not a very good opponent to fight with magic. As we see, the steady chant really doesn't add that much damage in the end. Around 40-50 points. Pretty much identical to the sorcerers. Well, staff's plain steady chant. There's even one out there with 30 points that could use. Now I'm wondering, is that one identical like the others? Well, I guess I'll find out eventually. But no matter. There's a staff in the end, and in the longer run, it will be one of the strongest if you really focus on being a sorcerer. Well, luckily, being a sorcerer this time around is a lot easier than it was in the old days when you only had a limited number of spell uses. You have actual mana bar you can replenish. So that's how it is. So overall, it was a good staff, but in terms of me using it, I probably should have done more intelligence if I had known. But yes, let's move on to the pros and cons. As you see, I've stricken the pretty much special condition off the ball scoring, and I have no real good replacement for that. But anyway, on the pros. This staff scales its buff really nicely with the intelligence. Like, you get a lot of buff out of it. Definitely a lot. The steady chant is there and it's helpful, but though it does cost double the FP to use. Alright. Moving on to the cons, however, that special costs double than the normal staff. And in order to bring out the weapon's full potential, you must heavy a lot of intelligence. A lot. 50 to 60 range. So you're doing all in on that. Okay. Now, moving on to the score for the Court Sorcerer staff. Buff gets an 8 out of 10. It's not the strongest staff, but far from the weakest. Because when you get up there high with intelligence, this sucker really puts out. Now for bonus, for what it's worth, I'm also going to give it a 7 out of 10. Because you get S for intelligence, for what that is worth. Misk, now, this one I have a hard time nailing down a good number. But I'm going to say 7 out of 10 as well. And the presence that, if you're really going with staffs and mages for that kind of playthrough and that kind of character, you're really going to want to invest in this. So in total, the Court Sorcerer staff gets 22 out of 30, which is excellent. I have no clue how to rate this at the end now. We'll call it excellent for a staff. So there you have it. Possibly one of the best staffs in the game, if not the best. Since that scaling is really nice. Exceptionally nice. But yes, reviewing these damn staffs is hard. Very difficult. The chimes are not too difficult, and everything else is pretty easy. These staffs. And when you go re-up on this stuff, it just gets confusing, but no matter. That's been Showcase for today. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care out there.